Hello, hi, I'm Jeff Mills, and I'm here to speak about my experience here, Apple Atmos event. Well, I grew up in the city of Detroit, so it's not hard to find yourself involved with music in a city like that has such a deep history, rock and roll, Motown, gospel. It's everywhere. It's constantly spoken about. Your siblings, your neighbors, your schoolmates. Everyone's involved in music to a certain extent. And so in school, it started quite early, as early as I can remember, maybe in the third grade, you're asked to choose an instrument or sing. Every student is asked to choose one of the two. And most young boys chose an instrument, and percussion was typically the one that most chose. I chose trumpet, and then realized that I couldn't play the trumpet very well. It was too heavy, and then moved to percussion around the fourth grade, and then played percussion all the way through to graduation, to the 12th grade. And in high school, it intensified. In the 9th grade, it intensified more. That's when I began to learn sheet music, and so marching band, concert band, stage band, after-school band. All these type of things were happening all through high school. And and you're taught by musicians that either worked for Motown, or they were working with orchestras and bands, and so you were taught by very experienced musicians, and so you learned in a certain way to approach music, always very serious, and to practice and to master your instrument. So by the 12th grade, I could find my way around, and so and then I quit, and then and after graduation, because something new was coming, this DJing and hip hop, and so I made the transition from playing the drums into DJing. The idea to begin to integrate drum machines into the DJ set came when the drum machines became cheaper. Until a certain time, they were very expensive and not very accessible. And so as the price came down, they were becoming more accessible into your local music shop. And so my first drum machine was one that I bought at a Radio Shack, which was like an electronics store, and it was like $35, and I bought that and found a way to modify it to do a certain special thing that no other machines could do, and begin to integrate that into the DJ setup. So, and this was maybe 1982. And, didn't have a pitch control. It didn't have a lot of functions, so you would have to find a way to match the records up to it and tempo and things. But that, these are my very early days. And as the price got cheaper and the machines were filtering them into the landscape, you had more chances to get better machines. And so all through the 80s, the machines got better and better and better, 808, 909, and those were the machines that the professionals used.
Yes.
And I was not a professional. I was just and so you would just hear you would hear those machines on certain records. So you would hear the 808 on Soul Sonic Force, Planet Rock, and so you knew that was an 808, or you would. And so they were, these machines were legendary even then, because they were connected to these very popular tracks, to hip hop and all types of music that, Madonna and everything. And so you would distinctively hear these drum machines all through that whole decade. Yeah, I mean, they actually play much more of a greater role in music in general than we even realize. Actually, you hear them in commercials, and films, and everything, and if you were like really a big shot, you had things like Lynn drums and things where Prince and other big artists, Michael Jackson, were using these other unattainable, expensive machines and things, and so yeah, it was all about the drum. It was always about the drums. Always, it's the instrument that any and everyone can relate to. You don't need to be a musician in order to be able to play it, and so it is the universal instrument. Some of it has to do maybe the upbringing. We traveled a lot when I was a kid. My parents, we had a trailer. I come from a large family, and traveling by trailer was the most economical way. And we traveled around the U.S. From the West Coast all to the South, and every summer it would be that. And at a certain point every summer I decided to master something. So one summer it would be I wanted to juggle. I wanted to master juggling something, and so I would practice until I mastered how to juggle. Or another summer it would be I was collecting. This was a summer of collecting things. So I would search out and research and go around the city and collect certain things. And then after a while, you just realize that these are the things that I like to do, and somehow I'm going to find a way to connect it to music. And so traveling, it's the same. When I was a kid, going in the West Coast and into the desert is the same thing as going to another planet. And so it's, yeah. Typically starts with research. And actually, when I'm creating a project, most of it is research. And then at a certain point, I think I have enough information about it, and then I begin to write the music, and then begin to kind of compare, go back and forth with the research, and to see if I'm convinced that it's really translating these two, the subject. And then at that point, once I'm satisfied that I've addressed all the important parts of the concept, I begin to piece it back together again. And if I'm lucky, and I can make it consist of fiction and fact, if I can combine these two things and blur the lines between the two, the more blurring, the better it is. The more questionable it is, the more happy I am. And so I'm usually, I throw in a part into these releases that is a turning point. Then there's no turning back to the way things were, an occurrence or a happening or something that changes the scenario is what I like to do. And that comes from following a lot of science fiction and looking at films, and all of a sudden they experience something, and then reality, their whole world has changed. So I learned from science fiction. And so the more believable the story is, the more you have confidence in what you're reading. But then something happens, and then it begins to make you rethink about everything that led you up to that point. This is exciting, and this is fun to work on, and there's never a shortage of ideas about the possibilities of what we can encounter, especially in the future. happy, delighted, but on the other side, concerned about the other aspects. I mean, we have sound, we have this spatial, and you can hear things happening around you. But I'm realist. I mean, it's going to take more than that to really convince people that they're no longer here, that they're actually somewhere else. And that means we have to find a way to be able to simulate this type of scenario so convincingly that it tricks the mind. And so I'm happy, we crossed over this threshold and we're at this point. But it's going to require other things working in parallel, and once we can move someone from here to there, then we're ready to really explore, and so I'm waiting for this to happen. I think the general process of people coming into a club, they want that, or to an event, they want that anyway. That's why we turn off the lights, so that they have more chances to lose themselves in this atmosphere. And then we make them feel as if they're somewhere else in some otherworldly space by using these lights to do this. So the people we've been asking for this transportation, this transformation into another realm already for 50 years, disco and maybe even before in the 60s, and maybe in the late 50s. We've been asking for this transformation for quite some time. I think that once we can solve this problem of convincing, then I think we're then ready to move on to the next phase of existence, I think, and taking them places that they're not physically able to go. So we're not able to travel to the sun, but if we simulate it, we can then study the sun and how it works. You can feel the heat. You can learn about things that are impossible to explore. And so going into a black hole and going beyond the surface of Jupiter to actually see what the planet is really about, because it's covered by gas and all types of things. And so we should become more intelligent as a result of entertainment becoming more intelligent as well. And so I'm waiting for this. If the normal sense of humans remains in this stereo field, and it remains this. I'm not saying that it could possibly change. Our senses could change. We might find something that would make us hear in different ways depending on where we are. If we're no longer here on Earth and we're out in space, it might change the way that we perceive things. If we stay in this form, then we can. There is a better chance that we might be able to enhance it to the point that something like a spatial audio becomes the foundation for many other things to happen. I'm ready to be changed, but I think in most cases I'm still hearing music in stereo. As a DJ producer, you still have these two speakers, near field speakers, and there is left and right. In more advanced studios, you can have surround, but that's not as prevalent and as available as I wish it were. I wish the club setting would advance more to have speakers surrounding the audience more, to give more opportunities to actually use Atmos software. And so, but I think in time it will change. I think that if more musicians record in Atmos, and then the people will get the notion to create these type of hi-fi systems and home settings where it's, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm in the midst of two tours. One is with the band Tomorrow Comes to Harvest, and we're touring around Europe. We just finished a Latin America leg of the tour, and some of the dates will be recorded in multi-track, and like we just recorded our last album entitled Forbidden Planet. The whole album was recorded in Atmos, which will allow us to be able to translate things in this surround. And the other tour is called, it is referencing, it's an anniversary of a DJ mix that I made 30 years ago in Tokyo at a club called Liquid Room. And the initial idea was to actually record it in 3D. But this was 1995, and DVDs were out, but not in every household and not so regular. And it wasn't possible to put this mix on DVD and sell it as an audio disc. So I ended up having to make it just a live mix. And so this tour is the 30th anniversary of that mix. But I may get the opportunity to actually fulfill my original dream to record a party setting in a surround and 3D type of atmosphere, where microphones are put all around the space and cameras are filming. And so the viewer would be able to pinpoint where they would like to be in the room, and maybe even at a distance, not even in the room, maybe in the dressing room, or maybe in some other parts. We can replicate many other aspects of this event. So we're going to try this. I mean, if I could have succeeded in making it in surround, then what we would have today is this incredible historic piece of what it was like in 1995, and to be in Tokyo in the middle of this audience, 30 years ago. If I think about, having this piece of being at Woodstock, and someone thought to record, put microphones in that audience, and to have this type of thing, what we would have would be priceless, So yeah, this is the idea.